Welcome to episode 2, the townmate diaries. We're having a little play with the bike. Changed the kickstart because that one with the pedal on it was absolutely hideous. Got a new one, 17 quid. Got rid of that oil temperature gauge that was just spinning around. For now, just put a bolt in it instead until I can get a replacement. I've had to relocate the ignition temporarily to up here, even though it looks like it's been attacked with a screwdriver. But yeah, it's only temporary. We'll deal with the dash area later on in a bit further down the line. But yeah, I've had to move that because I managed to get a second-hand airbox off eBay from Greece. 60 quid, extortionate, but I do want to put it back to a standard airbox, so you know you can ride through puddles in the UK if you get caught out in the rain. Managed to get a standard carb. It was in a bad way, but I've managed to clean it up and get it running pretty good on there. But my airbox came with the 50cc connecting tube instead of the 80cc connecting tube, so I've not managed to put the airbox on yet because this tube is actually too short, and now it's stuck on the carb. Actually, I had to heat it up to get it on because it's gone stiff, but I'm going to have to take the carb off anyway and have a play around with it because there was a few bits missing. The choke flap wasn't very good, the screws were spinning around. The plunger for the fuel pump didn't have a spring in it, so I stuck a spring out of a pen in it for now, and I made a little gaiter for it out of an earplug, a silicone earplug. But I'm not sure exactly how far that's meant to push down. So what I've done is, because I've got no information on it, I've managed to get myself a Chinese copy of a carb off AliExpress, 25 quid, and I'm going to take it apart, pillage some bits off it. This is a 50cc carb. It's got 16mm, whatever you call it, throat. 16mm throat instead of the 18mm one for the 80cc model. So what I'm going to do is take this little seal that I couldn't find online off this, and take the choke flap, well not the flap, take the arm that the choke flap sits on off this. Maybe I'll take the cap off it as well because the one on that one's rusty. The actual throttle actuator on this one's different, it's got a different cable hole, but you know, I might be able to use some bits off it anyway. I thought for 25 quid it's worth a punt. This is the carb that was on the bike when I got it. Obviously it's meant to be a pumper carb, so this little plunger pushes some fuel through this little nozzle there. When you initially rev the bike, it pushes that plunger down, and this one doesn't seem to move that much, so yeah, I'm going to have to try and find out how much it's actually meant to move and how much fuel it's meant to squirt in. But yeah, I'm going to nick the spring out of this because it's going to be the right spring rate, and I'm going to nick this little gaiter off this. But yeah, this carb that was on it isn't a pumper carb, hence why it was such a big flat spot when I was pulling off. It was absolutely terrible until you got going a bit, and then it was alright. So yeah, we're going to not use that. It's meant to have a pumper carb on it. Also, I've managed to get a mudguard, front mudguard, another eBay purchase. So once I've sorted the spokes out on the front wheel a little bit and moved it over, I'll fit that. Had to order some of these washers that go in there. You can still buy these original Yamaha parts. They're about 2 quid. And I've got a couple of different air filter foams. This one you can pretty much see through. Doesn't seem like it's going to protect much. And then I've got a slightly denser one. It's also the same thickness, but it's a little bit denser, so we'll see which one it runs better with once we get the airbox on. I'm just waiting for my 8cc connecting tube that goes between here and the carb, coming from Greece. €3. Hopefully it turns up and hopefully it fits and works. This tube's gone rock hard plastic, so a little bit of heat gets it back to supple again. We had to pop it off. Yeah, it does soften it up a bit. Won't be using this anyway because it's a 50cc one. I just put it on there because I wanted to ride the bike to work to test everything. But yeah, you can probably, don't know if you'll be able to see on the camera, that little jet in there. You can just about see it squirting a bit of fuel when he pumped that. So yeah, it is working nicely, even if it has got an earplug for a gator. But I'm going to take the gator off the Chinese carb and put that on. My choke flap, this screw there just spins round and round and round, so I'm going to take that screw, well, I'm going to take the arm out of the Chinese carb and fit it into this one, because yeah, that don't like the fact that that's wobbly and could fall off. But yeah, this cap's also a bit rusty, so might definitely pinch the clamp off the Chinese one, and we'll see if we get this gator in properly. Had to make my own gaskets because this one, when I got it, didn't have any gaskets in. But I did strip the whole thing down, wire wheeled it as best I could, got carb cleaner in it, and put it back together and managed to get it running. And to be honest, the bike runs loads better with this on, even without an air filter, just with this little tube on to restrict it a bit. I did try putting some foam over the end just to ride to work, stop any crap going in, but it just choked the bike completely, so I stuck that on to restrict the airflow a bit. And yeah, it's got rid of the flat spot. When you pull off, the flat spot's gone, it's a lot more perky. But yeah, I'm sure it'll run better with the airbox on, because that's what the jets standard jets are designed for. Assuming this carb's got standard jets in, I'm not sure because I bought it off eBay. So there we have it. This is the pen spring. It does do the job. I filled that little earplug with grease to stop any dirt going in there, but we're going to be fitting the proper gator anyway, so won't need the grease then. So the threads are a bit knackered in this hole. Hopefully the arm out of the Chinese one fits in. We'll see. In fact, I may end up taking the whole mechanism, because I'm sure about this pin. There's a metal pin in there that actually pushes the arm around, and it does look like it's just been stuffed in there by someone over the years. So maybe we'll take this whole arm mechanism off, because this one seems to be in better in better nick. Actually looking at it, it's actually the spring. It's the spring that should push it round, and not that pin. So maybe it is a bodge from many years ago, and it should be this little spring in here that's pushing it round. Looks like that was upside down anyway. Should be that way around. Well, that fits, so that's a bonus. Oh, there we go. That's meant to be that side. Quite fiddly to get back in. Pop that plastic cap off. There we go. There's the first issue sorted. Choke back fully functional. Now we can refit the cap. And what else are we going to do? The pump, the fuel pump, the gator. So whip the bottom off this. Not sure whether to use the Chinese float bowl or not, because sure inside this one there's like a little ball bearing or something inside this hole, I'm sure. Just hear it rattling around. Sure, that's probably something to do with the fuel squirting pump. So when this pushes down, forces fuel up through there, through this O-ring and seal, and up through the jet. I mean, it is working, so yeah, maybe I'll stick with the original one and just change the spring out. Always handy to have spare gaskets. Two different plungers. I'll stick with the original plunger, although they do look identical pretty much. I'll just take the spring off the Chinese one and fit it to my standard one, then that can go in that hole, and then we know we've got the correct spring. Although this one was out of one of those multicoloured biros that you can never run out, Bic one, so if you ever are stuck, at least you know that will do the job. Might just be a bit stronger than the original one, so might not plunge as well. Now we'll pinch this rubber gator. Actually, I'm going to clean that grease out first. I'm not sure if it can get down into the fuel from there, but may as well clean it out while we're at it. Difficult to push in. You strip down the Chinese carb a bit further and it turns out there's meant to be a spring behind the idle mixture screw. So yeah, that's handy to know, because I did notice it was ticking over great, and then by the time I'd done a few miles on it, the tick over weren't so good, and my idle screw had backed all the way out, there's no tension on it, so not the idle screw, idle mixture screw. So now I've got the spring out of the Chinese one, that'll put a bit of tension on it, and hopefully I'll have a good solid idle going forward. So 1, 2 1/4 turns out. There we go, so that's back to the setting I had it on originally. Can tweak with that once the airbox is on. I'm sure it's going to need adjusting, but yeah, as for everything else, I've got the plunger gasket back in, so this can all go back together now and we're good to go. I didn't do a video when I originally got this car, but yeah, I have had all the throttle mechanism apart, cleaned all the seals. There's some seals behind here and some plastic washers that all needed cleaning and putting back together, and now it's super smooth, so I'm not going to bother taking it apart again to show you, because there's no need. May as well use the shinier screws that came with the Chinese one instead of the old rusty ones that I had before. Plug the drain hole back in, because I did undo that to drain the carb earlier on. There she is. Put the wee plastic cap back on the plunger. It says. So yeah, basically this little gator here, I could not find any. There was some online with pictures on, but that looked right for different carbs, bigger carbs, but there was no measurements on there, and I didn't have an original one to measure anyway, so basically I just had this, buying this Chinese carb for 25 quid off AliExpress is worth it, just to get that little bit, and my choke mechanism now working properly. Everything else was good to go. Obviously I've got a spare set of gaskets now. The spring for the idle circuit is now there as well, so yeah, good purchase. I think did notice that it's definitely not a genuine Mikuni carb, but when you let the floats down, the needle valve falls out and goes on the piss, so I don't think when it's in the bowl, I'm not sure if it gets full travel or not, but it jams up. Not good. However, for the bits I wanted off it, worthwhile getting. I'll probably take this little bit off just because it's in a bit of a better condition than the rusty one and the original. And you know, as much as I'd like to keep the original bits, you just can't get them anymore, so just got to harvest the bits you can off this Chinese one. Hopefully you can see in when we give the throttle a blip. Not sure if it'll focus in there or not, but it does squirt. Pretty healthy dose of fuel down there. hopefully that gets it back up to nice running standards when we get the original air filter pipe. Try and find the key. Got her all back together again. Mocking up the front mud guards. See how fancy. I don't know. Not completely sold on it yet. Once I've got the airbox in, technically you won't really need it because it won't matter where it splashes the water if it's raining or if you get caught out. But no, it still can be handy to have it. It's not too bad. It needs painting properly and really sanding down. My sander exploded while I was trying to sand it down, so that's not very good, but yeah, we'll see. Could do with a little chop, maybe a bit more shaping, but see if it grows on me or not. Gonna go out for a test ride and test the new carb out. Haven't got an air filter on, still tubes that came in the airbox until the other one comes. So yeah, see how it goes, It's ticking over mint now, seems to be running a lot better. Out. I can imagine it's only ever going to get better once I get this correct air filter on, airbox. for a little test drive in the lanes. I think my headlights about to fall off, so I've managed to cram a twig up in the second hole that was meant to be a bolt in to hopefully stop it twisting and falling off. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be running so much better with this carb on. But it's crazy, even when I came out, this tube was facing up like that. Just having it facing up and tucked behind this leg shield was enough to choke it and make it run shit. But if you put it down like that, it's got air flowing in a bit better. It's now seems to have crisped up a little bit. It's running a lot better. But yeah, this hill, I'm up back at Beacon Hill in Leicestershire. When we were doing the coast to coast push bike ride, charity ride a couple of months ago, part of the training, I came to this hill and did 10 laps of it, 500 feet of vertical incline each lap. And yeah, pretty brutal, but I thought I'd come back and ride it on this now and just be glad that I'm not pedaling up it. Good news is it runs great. Bad news is my headlights fell off. So yeah, gonna have to have a little look at that before I go back out.